Alongside Steven Ellis, Jeff Marek here in London. It's a little bit quiet. USA goaltenders on the ice right now. But tonight, this place will be rocking. It is a Game 1, two-game series. Tonight, London, tomorrow, Oshawa. The CHL USA Prospect Challenge. Before, Steven, we break down a couple of players to keep our eyes on. What do you think of this format? I mean, this is a 4-year deal between the two sides. It'll go to the Western League next year, the Q in the third year, and then USA has the option to host it in the fourth season. But what do you think of the format?
This is great. You know, we see all these international tournaments throughout the years, but we don't get to see Canada and USA at their best at this level. So even though it's not technically Canada versus USA, the players are kind of looking at it this way because the CHL is mostly Canadian players.
Added edge to the game because of it?
I think so. It's going to be, aggressive. A lot of these guys do know each other on both sides, but this is the first kind of real meeting between them at this type of hockey tournament. I love it.
So somewhere in the neighborhood of 50% of this year's first round of the NHL draft will be on the ice in these next two games. Who should we keep our eye on?
Well, there's no James Hagens here for the U.S., but on the CHL, we're going to see Porter Martone, obviously a guy who's been so good with Brampton the last couple of years. Michael Misa, just on a scoring rampage right now. I think a lot of people are looking at Matthew Schaefer as potentially the number one prospect.
I was waiting for you. I was hoping you got there. He skates like Jay Bouwmeester.
He's great, and that's a dated reference at this point. But yes, I got to say, when it comes to watching Schaefer, this guy is on a totally different level. So they're looking pretty good. The Americans, I think it's a bit of a different story, not as much firepower, but William Moore, a Mississauga native who's been really good for them. I think that we're going to be looking at maybe, let's see, LJ Mooney, what he could do. He's been hurt. He's in the lineup. We'll see what he can do. Charlie Trethewey, I really like him. He's a guy that just fires pucks from everywhere, very skilled, having a bit of a down year, but I do think that this is a kind of an event that he can go out there and really shine.
A couple of players I want to get your thoughts on. Caleb Desnoyers, thought on this. I mean, he's going to be a high pick this year in the draft.
He's a winner, and we saw that at the U17s, the Hlinka, the under-18s. This guy just wins everywhere he goes, and he's got a great shot. We saw him doing some power play practice today, and oh man, I feel bad for the American goalies. This is going to be a tough one, but having a really good year in the Q, and I think this is a good year for Q players. It's been a couple years since we've seen a high-end one. I think this is an opportunity for him to kind of go in the top 10 and say, look at me, look what I could do.
Brady Martin, Sault Ste. Marie. I know you like him. I love him.
Brady Martin might be my favorite prospect in this draft because he's a guy that just goes out there and he just fights for every puck. He wants to win. He's so competitive. And talking to some of the guys yesterday, they kept saying how much fun he is off the ice. And a guy that's good on and off the ice, teammates love him, coaches love him. Your future NHL team's going to love him too.
Great personality. One more, Malcolm Spence. Like, I look at Malcolm Spence and I see the skill set and the package and the growth that's already there and still to come. And I say to myself, like, this guy's going to destroy the OHL.
Yeah, he's a confident player. He's a guy that's always played with skilled guys, but he's out there doing so many things. He's hitting players. He's committed to both ends. I remember watching him with the U18s, and everybody that played him, whether it be USA, whether it be Sweden, hated playing against him because he was getting in their heads. Wasn't taking penalties, but then he goes out there and scores at the other end. So I love Spence. He's a top 10 prospect.
So a lot of the conversations today and tomorrow in Oshawa are going to revolve around what we want to call the elephant in the room. I mean, all the attention is on the ice with the prospects, but there's a bigger issue. The redefinition of CHL players for the purposes of Division I and NCAA. Everybody's talking about it. Here, you've had conversations, I've had conversations. It's all around. It's not just whispers anymore. Where do you see this situation right now? Because there's so many questions and we really haven't sharpened the pencil and defined any answers yet.
Yeah, you kind of mentioned that. Like right now, we haven't seen a ton of players go out there and make an impact that have moved from BCHL, USHL, things like that. So it's still early days. A lot of the players didn't obviously want to talk about that, but like, are we going to see some of the players in the CHL this game here playing the NCAA next year? I think we're going to see that. What's the future of the NTDP going to look like? Are some of those guys going to want to go play in the CHL? So it's still so many questions that need answers, and I don't know how many people really know what's going to go on from here.
You're right, no answers, but a lot of hockey to play until we get some answers. Starting tonight, London, Game 1 of the CHL USA Prospect Challenge. Should be a great one.